What's up, guys? Welcome to the Second Take. I'm Zach.
And I'm Jonah.
And we are back for lots of football talk today. We got college football playoff winding down. We're going to talk about that later on in the show with Alabama playing Clemson in the final on Monday. And then we also have the NFL playoffs starting this weekend, which both our teams are in for the first time. And we were trying to figure out how long, but it's been a really long time. So We're both feeling good at this point, which generally doesn't happen. So we're going to start with the AFC, where we have the 1 seed with home field throughout the playoffs is the Patriots, and then the other team on a bye is the Kansas City Chiefs, which kind of happened at the end of the season with the Raiders losing Derek Carr and opening the door for the Chiefs. But we're going to start out with the 3-6 game, which is the Steelers against the Dolphins. This game is going to be played in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's the heavy favorite.
I think this is kind of a weird game because I don't think Pittsburgh is really that good. They've won a bunch of games in a row lately, but a lot of those games have been close. They've been winning a lot of games in the division, having trouble outside of it. They're 5-1 in the division, and then they're just 6-4 outside of it. So it feels to me a little like Roethlisberger's having a little bit of trouble. Like I'm sure he's probably just playing injured, like he always does, but the ball doesn't seem like it's coming out of his hand quite right. And him and Antonio Brown are usually on more of the same page by this point in the season than they are right now. So this team doesn't look that strong to me, but at the same time, the Dolphins, I just don't think are a very good football team. They had a point differential of -17, which is a lot worse than even the Bills. So, I think the Ravens and the Broncos and possibly even the Bengals are better teams than Miami, and they're not in the playoffs. So I think Miami is going to have trouble winning in Pittsburgh, even though I don't think Pittsburgh is that strong. I mean, we'll talk about the conference in general a little later, but I really think that New England and Kansas City are by far the two best teams in the AFC.
Yeah, so this is a weird game in that they played this middle of the season, and Dolphins won the game.
I put all of the money I had on the Steelers.
Yes,
in that game.
This was Jonah's lock of the century.
Yeah.
And the Dolphins ended up winning 30-15, which I didn't see coming. I don't think really anyone saw coming. But that was a completely different Steelers team where their defense was pretty bad then. Jay Ajayi ran for 204 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Tannehill threw for more yards than Ben Roethlisberger, which I don't think anyone thought would ever be possible. And Jay Ajayi ran for 4 times more yards than Le'Veon Bell. So pretty much two or three things that could literally never happen twice. The Steelers' defense is way better now. Like you said, Big Ben and Antonio Brown seem to be a little out of touch, which is probably pretty scary for Steelers fans, knowing that they need to have about their A game in order to beat the Chiefs or the Patriots. But the defense is playing better than it has all year, which is going to give them as much a chance as they need to beat the Dolphins. And then Le'Veon Bell is just out of this world good. So those two things are on their side. I really don't think J.H.I. can run for 200 yards again on their defense. Obviously Tannehill's not playing. Well, we expect him not to play, although it hasn't been decided yet. So I don't think Matt Moore...
I think Schefter tweeted that it was official this morning.
Okay.
That he's not playing.
Yeah, so...
I'm pretty sure, it's going to be Matt Moore in a playoff game.
Right, so...
Can't wait.
While we're on the topic, the AFC, the top 3 seeds have a absurd amount of wins in the playoffs. So Brady, Alex Smith, and Ben Roethlisberger. The bottom 3 have never won a playoff game ever, which is Matt Moore, Brock Osweiler, and Connor Cook. So obviously there's a slight discrepancy in who's favored in this division conference.
Well, Connor has never even started a game before.
Yeah, and the last...
forget about won a playoff game. It was literally his first start.
The last game he started, if I'm correct, they lost 38-0 to Alabama.
Well, to be fair, I'd probably take Alabama over the Texans team, so...
I'm just saying, he hasn't scored a touchdown in quite some time.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he might not get it now. He's playing against the best defense in the NFL, so we'll see. But yeah, the Steelers are the clear favorite here. A lot of people are looking at the Steelers the way they're looking at the Packers and the NFC, thinking these are the 2 hottest teams. These are 2 teams that are going to make the run. Generally, one of those teams isn't as good as they seem, and you and I both agree that that's the Steelers. But I mean, they're definitely better than the Dolphins, so I don't think it's too big of a deal.
Yeah, I mean, the way this worked, I mean, last year, all 4 road teams won in the wild card round, which was like a pretty crazy thing to happen. But there's like never a year where all 4 home teams win. So like one of these home favorites is probably going to lose. And like most people are probably just picking Houston to lose because Houston's probably the worst of the home teams. But I wouldn't be that surprised if Pittsburgh lost just in general, but the fact that Miami is a team that plays them makes me skeptical. Like if this game would have Denver or Baltimore in it, I might be picking them to beat Pittsburgh because I don't think Pittsburgh's that good, but I think Miami's even worse.
I mean, I think the Steelers are 10-point favorites right now against a team that they lost to by 15 during the season. So like, I mean, the story's pretty much writing itself where the Dolphins are going to have all the momentum and all the anger and firepower in the world to go get this win. So theoretically, it's not that out of question, but you and I just don't really see it happening.
Yeah, me neither. But like for sure, respect to the Dolphins for getting this far. Even
yeah, I mean Jay Ajayi shocked the world.
I thought they were going to finish last in that division, and they made the playoffs. So even with that negative point differential,
I mean, to be fair, they got 4 games against the Jets and the Bills.
Yeah, that does help, and they took care of business in those games.
So who knows?
I mean, they're 4-2 in the division. They have 2 losses to the Patriots and 2 wins each over the Bills and the Jets. So.
But like you said with the Steelers have a good division record, but their division isn't that good. Like we thought the Bengals would be great this year. They were terrible. The Browns obviously are the Browns, and the Ravens are overrated in my opinion. But still, like they're a decent team, but not a team you expect to go contend for a championship or anything.
Yeah, right. So I think it's just a matter of like. Whether the Steelers show up like a team that's won, 7 games in a row now? Yeah, whether they show up like one of those teams or whether they show up like an overrated type team. I don't know. I don't think we're going to really see what the Steelers are made of until they go to Kansas City in the second round, which is what I expect to happen.
Right. So with that, we're going to go to the Raiders and Texans, which is probably the one game that basically you could flip a coin because no one has any idea. It's a upstart Raiders team, which is on the downslide because they lost their franchise quarterback against a great defense that has a horrendous quarterback with a decent offense, but the quarterback can't throw the ball. So really, just as people expected, it's coin flip. This game is going to be in Houston. Houston is 3.5-point favorites. I don't even think they're going to score 3 points, so that's kind of high. But I mean, the Raiders have Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree, which makes life a lot easier for a quarterback that's never started an NFL game before. Their defense is getting better, but there's definitely holes. But when you have Khalil Mack and a shaky Brock Osweiler on the other side, you pretty much have a chance. And then the Texans have the number 1 defense. There's a lot. I talked to Jonah about this, but there's a lot of different ways to rate a defense. So this was just one of them, where like the overall scheme basically has the Texans as the number 1 defense. So that's obviously tough for a rookie quarterback to start against. But their offense is pretty bad, and they can't really score the ball with Brock Osweiler. They looked a little bit better with Tom Savage, but he's not sure if he's going to be suiting up or not. But he's definitely going to be the backup if he is suiting up. So this is Brock Osweiler's game. It's a $72 million man with a chance to show people he's not that bad, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Patriots got like the luckiest draw you could have asked for because no matter what happens in either of these games, their second round game is going to be against either Brock Osweiler, Connor Cook, or Matt Moore.
Yep.
So the Patriots kind of drew a luckier card than the Cowboys did as the first seed in their conference, which I'm a little bitter about because the Patriots always get every good break ever. But yeah, I think this Raiders-Texans game was, first of all, a lock to be in that early Saturday slot where they always put the worst game.
Right.
So, like, as soon as that game popped up on the schedule, I was like, oh, that one's definitely going there. Yeah, the Texans are similar to a couple of teams we talked about before in that they're kind of like a smoke and mirrors team to me. They finished 9-7, and they won the division by going 5-1 in their terrible division.
Yeah, they won it by default.
Yeah, they won 4 games outside of their bad division. And
one of them was KC, wasn't it? Really early on?
Yeah, they had an early win over KC. Their other wins outside the division were against Detroit at home in kind of a weird game, and the Bears at home, and against the Bengals at home.
And the Bears...
And the Bengals game was like a 12-10 win with like Tom Savage, and it was kind of a weird game.
And the Bears are bad. The Chiefs always start pretty bad, and that was like week 1, I'm pretty sure. And the Lions were not as good early on as they are now. So those are like gifts, pretty much.
Yeah, and we saw these two teams play each other. I mean, obviously the Raiders had Derek Carr at the time, but Raiders did win this game when they played each other in Mexico City on Monday night a while back. The score was 27-20, but the game wasn't that close. Like, Oakland was definitely the better team in that game. I don't know. I struggle to predict this game because I try to make a rule of not being bad or rookie quarterbacks on the road whenever I can avoid it. But I would guess there's going to be like 25,000 Raider fans there. Like, Raider fans travel pretty well.
Especially the first time they've been in the playoffs in a while.
Right. They haven't made the playoffs since, what, like 2002 or something?
Yeah, I think when they won the Super Bowl or the year after that or something.
Yeah, it was the year they were in the Super Bowl against Tampa.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was that year.
Yeah, you're right.
So I don't think it's going to be too difficult of a road environment. I think the rest of the Raiders roster is a little better than the rest of Houston's roster if you set the quarterbacks as pretty much being a wash. So I am going to go with Oakland in this game. I don't know. I mean, Houston's point differential was minus 49. When they won the division. I mean, even the Colts had a better one. The Colts had the best point differential in that division.
The Browns might have been close to that number, too.
Yeah, really. The Browns' point differential was minus 188. That was where they came in.
Close. I said it was close. 140 all.
Yeah.
Well,
so I'm going with Oakland, but I don't feel that confident about it.
In fairness to the Texans, I'm pretty sure like 30 of those points came against the Pats when they got shut out. So that's
right.
like 75% of that number. But yeah. So I mean, I'm going with the Texans, which I can't believe I said because obviously I've bashed the Texans all year long.
You've been like the crusader of like the Texans are terrible.
Literally since the day Jonah told me he was picking the Texans to win the division, I picked against them.
But let the record show that as bad as I think the Texans are,
they still won the division.
Still right.
I know.
Still right.
And the Jaguars are still picking third in the frickin' draft.
They'll get there one day.
But yeah. So I'm going with the Texans just because. Honestly, Lamar Miller sat out the last 2 weeks, which I think was a genius decision because they knew they were going to win that division just by the other teams giving it away. And now he's fully healthy. So 100% healthy Lamar Miller. I mean, you got to think that DeAndre Hopkins can get one catch from Brock Osweiler, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, you got to figure.
Like, he's got to just hit his hands one time.
I think the problem with Osweiler is, like, he's just lost his confidence more than anything else. Like,
well, he should because he's horrendous.
He has such a huge arm, but he never throws deep balls. Like, he's always throwing checkdowns. He's like Sam Bradford, only he doesn't complete the checkdowns. So.
Yeah, but I saw something just before we started that said he, on passes to DeAndre Hopkins, 15 yards downfield or farther, he's got a 35% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions.
They need yeah, that's bad.
I mean, Tom Savage came in a game, played 2.5 quarters, and threw for more yards than Brock Osweiler did in like 3 games in a row. All season. I mean, like, he threw for 260 or something, and Brock Osweiler never eclipsed that mark all season long. So, like, there's obviously potential on the offense. It's just the fact that can you get the ball?
I mean, Hopkins was great with freaking Brian Hoyer at quarterback.
Exactly.
So,
And then they add Will Fuller. Like, you expect it to take off. And Lamar Miller. But, yeah, so I'm going to go with the Texans. Good news for Raiders fans is that Jonah and I both thought this team was probably 1 year away from really competing. So the fact that they did so well this year and then have next year, hopefully with a healthy Derek Carr, that's probably their year. So this is more so just get the experience with the guys that have never been there before, and then take off next year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, right. I mean, looking towards next year, if we want to bring, like, the Pats and Chiefs into the AFC conversation for a little bit, just talk about the AFC a little.
Yeah.
The Chiefs just keep winning games. They have, I'm pretty sure, I was looking, they have the most wins in the NFL over the last 3 years.
That's correct, yeah.
Which is, and they're just like a team nobody talks about because with Jamal Charles not having played a lot recently, they don't have a lot of, like, super recognizable players that everybody in the country has heard of, so they just kind of get ignored. But this team is, like, they just keep taking care of business. They have a good defense. They have good offense. They don't have, like, I don't know, their one unit isn't drastically better than the other, so they're a pretty well-balanced team. This is a team that's set up perfectly for Alex Smith. Like, Alex Smith, if you put him on another team, we might be talking about how he was one of, like, the worst starting quarterbacks in the league. But, like, if you put Alex Smith in a system that works for him, he will do everything you need him to do. He's never going to lose you the game. And the Chiefs just don't give away games. They look as good as anybody right now. And they really battled hard to win what was a really tough division. And I would be personally shocked if the AFC Championship game is not New England versus Kansas City. I think they're easily the two best teams.
And shout out to Andy Reid because he got bashed by Philly his last couple of years. Like, they said he's got to go. He's terrible. They can't win games. Now, not only did he go to Kansas City and was fantastic, and like you just said, most wins in the NFL in the last 3 years, but then Philly also went behind him and hired his offensive coordinator because that's how good he's doing in Kansas City. So, I mean, all the credit in the world to him. Alex Smith is doing everything he needs to do, like you said, and Tyreek Hill flat out can play. His, I don't know if it's an Instagram or Twitter or what it is, but his handle is "I'm faster than you," and yes, he's far faster than you.
I've never seen an NFL player that fast in my entire life.
It's pretty much like you're watching him on fast forward and everybody else is getting played in slow motion. Like, that's the persona he gives off.
The two guys in the entire league that are the most terrifying with the ball in their hands in space are Odell Beckham and Tyreek Hill. And it's not like it's them two and then a huge gap.
And the fact that you have to line up and punt the ball to this man. Like, you have to just pray that either you kick the ball so far out of bounds in the end zone or you just have the best coverage ever, or else
that's the kind of thing in the playoffs. Like, I would just want no part of it. I would tell my punter, literally just kick the ball out of bounds. Do not.
Yeah, well, the Giants told Matt Dodge that, what was this, 10 years ago, and we ended up with Miracle at the Meadowlands 2. So obviously it's not as easy as people think it is.
I don't understand this. Like, punters have one job. Like, learn how to punt it out of bounds.
And all they do during practice, like, they don't even run. They don't do anything. They just stand on the side and kick the damn ball.
Yeah, seriously, I would never punt this guy. I just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Under no circumstances.
But like you said, also they don't have many superstars. But like Jamal Charles, even when he was coming back as healthy, they pretty much gave him like a backup role. Like, that's how the team is just clicking. Defense is good. They have their pass rush is unbelievable. Like Justin Houston, Tom Bali, Don Terry Poe, it keeps going on and on and on. Guys you've never heard of, D Ford, all these guys are pretty.
D Ford has like 10 sacks.
Exactly, and he came out as a sack artist from Auburn, and people didn't really know how he was going to fit in, but obviously he's fitting in pretty well. So they just have a lot. Marcus Peters is Marcus Peters. Eric Berry's fantastic. So they're tough. They're tough to beat at home, especially, and that. Them getting the home field advantage, other than having to go to New England if they make it to the conference championship, was huge the last week of the season.
Yeah. I mean, so since week 5, they started off 2-2. They had a big loss in Pittsburgh on a Sunday night. They kind of made everyone think that they just weren't that good. But since then, starting in week 5, they're 10-2, and their 2 losses have been by a combined 4 points.
Right.
So they're as hot as any team right now, even though they don't have as long a win streak as teams like Pittsburgh or Green Bay. They're also on fire right now.
Exactly. So the only team that you and I probably think can stop them, or that they have to get through, I guess, because it's not really a matter of stopping the Chiefs. It's more a matter of beating the Patriots, would be the Patriots. So obviously they have Tom Brady. Obviously their offense is good. But the thing that I think is the most amazing, and I know you think this is pretty incredible too, is that the Patriots gave up the least amount of points in the NFL. Obviously that has a lot to do with possessing the ball a lot. Tom Brady just not turning the ball over. The offense plays well, does what they need to do. Yes. But they gave up 15.8 points a game, which was 2 less than the next closest team, which was the Giants. So obviously the defense is really good. Now, let's say that with also saying last year they traded away their best defensive player, which is Chandler Jones. This year they traded away their best defensive player, which is Jamie Collins. And they still have the best defense in the NFL. So how does that even happen? Like either Bill Belichick is a magic wizard, which we think he is, or they're just unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, this is why Patriots coordinators always get hired for head coaching jobs. Because they just always seem to, no matter what the personnel is, it's almost like it doesn't matter who's on the team, like at all.
Exactly, it doesn't. It really doesn't.
Always going to win 12 or 13 or 14 games.
It's almost like the Cowboys with the running back. Like you just stick
the only constant is Brady.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you just stick a Cowboys running back there, and you expect him to get 1,000 yards, and then based on his talent level, anything more than that is just his talent.
Right.
It's like the same kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So the Patriots are 3rd in points scored and 1st in points against, which is insane just on its own. Tom Brady has played 12 games. He's thrown for 28 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Like, this team, it does all the little things. They take care of the ball.
They have lost the same amount of games as interceptions they have.
Yeah, and one of those games was like a weird Bills loss, and the last game Brady was suspended. And the other one was against Seattle, when Seattle was still playing really well.
Yeah, and that was a Bills loss with, like, Garoppolo had a broken shoulder, and Brissett had, like, a torn ligament in his throwing hand on his thumb. Like, obviously it's not going to go too well.
Yeah, no, that was not... Right, that was a game that they weren't going to win, and then they went into Buffalo, and they scored 41 points against them to show Buffalo who was still the boss of this division. I mean, it's just like, if you bet on the Patriots to win their division, it's just free money. Like, it's the easiest bet you can make. And obviously they lost to Denver last year in the playoffs, but they had to go to Denver. I think if they have home field advantage throughout the playoffs, I really don't see them losing to anybody.
I mean, if you close your eyes and said you have Tom Brady as your quarterback and you're only giving up 16 points a game, I'm pretty sure you'd take Tom Brady probably 99 out of the 100 times.
Yeah, like, right. If they're giving up 16 points a game, which, like, Kansas City's not a big point-scoring team. So the question is, like, can Tom Brady score 17 points at home against Kansas City? And I think the answer is yes.
Yes. Even if you didn't say who he was playing, he could be playing 2 teams at once, and I still think they do.
There could be 20 defensive guys on the field. He's still getting at least 1 touchdown in there.
And they don't even have Gronk. Like, what is... They don't even have who most people think is their best offensive player, and they're just running through the league.
Yeah, and their run game has been good this year, too. Their offensive line is the best that I've seen in a long time.
That's another thing.
For them in the past. But, like, they have guys really stepping into their own. Marcus Cannon's been really good. They've gotten some rookies on the line. They finally started to get healthy. So, like, LeGarrette Blount's been tremendous this year. He has 18 rushing touchdowns.
Yes, but they're signing running backs, like, off waivers, off people, like, who gets cut from teams, and then they make them into a 1,500-yard back. It's like, what the hell?
In the last 3 years, the Patriots have probably had, like, 18 running backs, and it doesn't matter who's in there. There'll just be a new guy every week, just has a big game. It's like, oh, remember, like, Brandon Bolden and, like, James White, like, all those
And who was the guy that got signed by, like, Denver or something? He scored, like, 8 touchdowns last year.
With Denver?
No, with the Patriots, and then he got signed by, like, the Jags in the offseason or something. He was number 42, I think.
Oh, Wait, I'm gonna.
You know who I'm talking
look
about.
This up. This is gonna bother me.
James Clay or something like that.
No, isn't that James White?
No, there's a different guy. Trust me.
No, you're right. James White's still on the Patriots.
Yeah. He scored like 8 touchdowns or something. It was unbelievable. In a short stretch. Nobody ever knew who he was.
Yeah, I don't know who it is, but they always have guys like that.
Yeah, they just keep getting just people that...
Jonas Gray.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes, so him. They had a lot...
He's not even in the league this year. He didn't play this year.
See, that's a perfect example. I don't know his name. Yeah. No, Jonah doesn't know his name, and he's not in the league, but he dominated.
I looked him up for like a whole minute.
He dominated when he was on the Patriots. So that's how they win games, and it's unbelievable. It's slightly unfair, if you ask me, at this point, because let somebody else have a chance.
Yeah, really.
But, yes, so it's pretty clear that the AFC goes through New England. I don't think you could argue that really at all. I mean, literally and figuratively, it goes through New England.
Yep.
And really, we both think it's going to be KC against the Steelers. So really, whoever wins that game has to go to New England and has to play probably the best game they've played all year just to have a chance.
I think KC is much better than the Steelers too, and they'll be at home.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll say the same thing. I think it'll be KC against the Patriots, and I think the Patriots will win the game relatively easily.
Yeah, it's a boring pick, but the Patriots are boring. That's how it works.
But you're kind of crazy if you go against picking that. So,
right.
So now to the much more exciting, intriguing, and much more difficult to understand and pick conference, the NFC, where there's literally 5 teams that could win the Super Bowl. Maybe even 6. So we have Dallas as the 1 seed. Everything goes through Dallas. Number 2 is Atlanta, so both those teams are going to be on the bye. Dallas kind of rested some guys week 17. Did Zeke even get a carry in that game or a touch?
No, he didn't play at all.
Okay, so...
He dressed, but he didn't end up playing.
Right. So Dak played a little bit. Then they used Romo and Sanchez. Romo was great in his one drive. Sanchez was horrendous.
Sanchez was terrible.
Pretty much as predicted. It worked out just the way everyone was expecting.
Yeah.
So they're going to have another week off, which is probably good for the running back and offensive line. I know Tyron Smith's a little bit banged up, and your defenses could use some help too.
Yeah.
And then Atlanta played a pretty tough game, scored like 70 points again, just as they normally do. So we'll talk about those two in a minute, but we'll get to the first game, which is the 3 seed of Seattle, which kind of limped into the playoffs, against the 6 seed of Detroit, which literally crawled into the playoffs. Detroit lost their last 3 games. Seattle is 3-3 in their last 6. Both teams looking pretty shaky. Detroit had a much more difficult schedule, having to play the Giants, the Cowboys, and the Packers the last 3 weeks, and went 0-3. 3 playoff teams, obviously, 3 really good playoff teams. So not as much as a shot at the Lions as like the Seahawks losing to the Cardinals, struggling against the 49ers. So not a lot to like for the Seahawks there, but I do think the Seahawks are definitely the better team. They're tough at home. Stafford, as much as he says the middle finger isn't really affecting him, seems like he's not 100% comfortable with it, which how could you really be? And Zach Zenner is their starting running back. No offense, but I don't know really who he was until he played the Giants. So that's not a lot to like. The Seahawks are getting after the passer like crazy. The only thing I'm afraid of is not having Earl Thomas, because he's very clearly, in my opinion, the most important player on that defense. They kind of go as he goes. Really, both those safeties. Whenever they haven't had one of the safeties, they've really struggled. So not having Earl Thomas, I think, is a major factor, and probably the main reason I don't think they can get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I kind of feel similarly about this Seattle-Detroit game as I do about the Pittsburgh-Miami game. I think Seattle's a pretty vulnerable 3 seed in theory, but they're getting an opponent that I don't think is that well equipped to beat them, so I think they'll probably sneak through anyway. I like the Seahawks better than I like the Steelers. Because, I don't know, it feels like some parts of their team are coming together that haven't always in the past. Like their offensive line has been a little better than I expected, but like you said, they still look pretty shaky down the stretch. This just doesn't. I don't know. This isn't a team where like when you watch them play, you think, "Oh, that looks like a Super Bowl team." It's just not. And I think against the right team, they might have dropped this game, but the Lions are 3-5 on the road and look terrible right now, and the Seahawks are 7-1 at home. So it wouldn't shock me if the Lions won this game because they've had some kind of late game magic, and it's possible that could manifest itself again here. But I'd be pretty surprised if they won this game. I just don't think the Lions are that good. I mean, in that Monday night game, Week 16, when we played them, we could have scored 60 points in that game if we kept our foot on the pedal. Like, that defense was falling into little tiny pieces. And the game you guys played against them was a different kind of game. It was more of a low-scoring game, but they were not scoring on you. So, like,
and that game,
I think both sides of the ball are vulnerable for them.
Yeah, and that game we really tried to possess the ball more so than just score. Like, we kind of took a page out of your book there where we were just trying to run the ball, like, get a lot of first downs, take some time off the clock, because we knew that they needed the ball to score and that they flat out really couldn't stop our offense. So that's more so why it was 17-6, I think, 16-7, something like that. But I think the way that the Seahawks are vulnerable is their offensive line, which is very clearly terrible, and the Lions really don't get after the passer. Like, Ziggy Ansah, I think, still only has 1 sack, maybe 2 now, but his 1 sack came really late in the season. I want to say it was against you. It was against you or us.
I'd be surprised if they freaking touched us at all, honestly.
Anyways, they don't have a good pass rush, so that's not going to really affect Russell Wilson. And then the Seahawks really like to get after the passer, and the Detroit's offensive line is pretty banged up. I heard Riley Reiff might not be playing, which is kind of scary when you're looking at Michael Bennett across the line. So that kind of spells disaster, and I think the Seahawks will definitely get this one, which, if they can play a good game, is kind of scary because I think it's going to give them a lot of confidence. And then they're also, if they would win the game, they'd go to Atlanta to play their old defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn, which I think has a lot of storylines there. But I know that you and your soul is praying very hard for Detroit to win this game.
I want the Lions so incredibly badly to win this game. It's unbelievable. Like, I'd be surprised if they won, but obviously them being the 6th seed, we'd be guaranteed to play them if they did win. I don't know how you guys feel about the Falcons, but I feel like you might rather play them than play us, at least to start. I mean, I know you're not scared of us, I guess. But
yeah, I mean, I'd much rather play you just because I know that we can stop your offense, and I'm not sure that Atlanta's offense can really be slowed down.
Right. I mean, I don't know. We'll talk about your game in a second, but actually, let's just talk about it now.
Let's talk about the 2 reasons why you want the Lions to win the game.
Yeah. So, like, the Giants, I don't want to see the Giants because you've already beaten us twice, and you're the only team that's really beaten us in a game where we tried to win it. Like, the Eagles loss was like,
that doesn't count. That doesn't count.
And the Packers, I want absolutely zero part of Aaron Rodgers playing against my team with the hot streak that he's on right now. I think if I had to pick, I'd probably rather face you guys just because a part of my brain thinks that no way we lose to you 3 times in the same season. But, things like that do happen. So maybe I'm misguided in that, but I don't really want to play either of those teams, so I'm rooting pretty hard for the Lions.
So you did play both of us. We beat you twice, and you beat the Packers relatively easily, but it was when the Packers...
We beat the Packers at Lambeau, too.
But that was when they were decently bad. Now they're really good.
This isn't the same team.
Right. So, and the Giants also lost to the Packers by 7, again in Lambeau, but it was week 5, and again, very different. Both teams were very different at that time. So the Packers, their defense is good in the sense that they rush you into decisions, but they're, other than really HaHa Clinton Dix, their back end is pretty bad in my opinion. I don't think their corners are very good. I think you can kind of get what you want in the passing game as long as you can protect your quarterback, which has been a problem for the Giants. So that doesn't work too great. Eli only threw for like 190 yards or something the last time he played them. And their run defense was thought to be really good. Turns out it was more so they just didn't really play anyone that could run the ball. So now that their run defense isn't that great, and the Giants the last month of the season has made a very concerted effort to start the game and run the ball throughout the game. We've had over 140 yards, I want to say, rushing in the last month of the season every game. And then Perkins ran for 102 in the last game, which is the first 100-yard rusher in like Giants last 10 years, it feels like. So Perkins is definitely going to be getting the ball a lot. He looks like he's taking the job as starting running back and really running with it. I think that Eli, basically the key to this game, in my opinion, is does Eli play a good game or does he not? If Eli plays a good game, I think the Giants will win the game. If Eli plays a poor game, like he has through the majority of the season, he hasn't really had his best stuff at all. If he continues to play like that, the Giants most likely will lose this game. The fact that their defense has been so good can just keep them in the game, and then all Eli has to do is throw. I think Eli can throw for 3 touchdowns, the Giants win the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll depend somewhat, like, whether this is a really big Odell Beckham game or whether it's one of those Odell Beckham games where, like, he gets his 100 yards but doesn't break a big play.
Right.
You know?
And they're going to do everything they can to make sure that doesn't happen. Like, I was listening to his press conference, and he was saying he was watching the film of the last time they played, and basically they shade the inside so he can't get his slant with the corner and then play a safety over the top. So, like, he doesn't get the inside, he doesn't get over the top. So he basically just has to. Exactly. He did still get, I want to say he got 80 or 90 yards in that game. So what needs to happen, I think, is to get Shepard involved big time early on and make it so that someone else has to make a play, and then Odell almost becomes the afterthought, and whenever that happens, bang, there's an 80-yard slant for a touchdown.
Right, it really does depend on how well the rest of the offense is functioning, particularly, and the guys that I highlight would be Eli, like you said, and Perkins, like whether they can get a good ground game going. Because when you play Beckham like that, when you shade the inside slant and you put the safety over the top, you're conceding those like 8 or 9 yard quick outs.
Right.
And so if the Giants are picking up 4 or 5 yards on first downs, those quick outs are just going to get them first down after first down after first down. So, like, it's a matter of necessity for the Packers to play him that way. But if they start having to take away the quick outs, then they're going to give up a long play over the top.
Right.
Or they're going to give up one of those 80-yard slant routes that pad Eli stats for no reason. So, like, it's going to depend on if the rest of the offense can get it going, because if the only... I don't know, if the Packers are only leaving that quick out to you and you're not getting enough yards for that to get you a first down alone, then you're not going to get a lot of first downs, because, like, if you look at, I'm just looking at the NFC in points scored, there's only 2 teams, which was Chicago and the Rams, that scored fewer points than you guys did, and obviously your defense was the best in the NFC, so that's fine.
I think it was only the Bears in the AFC that might, or maybe, the Browns, and then maybe the Texans. Like the
Niners actually had 1 less point.
We're in like the bottom 6 or 7. I know that.
Yeah. Right. I mean, just point differential wise, you're not, because you've played a lot of low scoring games.
Right.
But I don't know. I feel like in some ways you're built better for playing a cold weather Lambeau game.
Exactly.
Than the Packers are.
And it is cold, and Aaron Rodgers is pretty much on record as saying he cannot stand playing in the cold.
I know, right? Because
he's something like 1-4 in games under 15 degrees or something like that. And the one win came this year. I don't know who it was against.
This was during a playoff broadcast last year or something, but they were showing like how Rodgers grips the ball and how it's difficult for him to throw the way he wants to in cold weather like this. So it'll depend. The forecast right now for Sunday is high of 15 degrees.
Yeah, it's supposed to be cold.
Get colder as it gets darker. So
right.
It could be difficult for Rodgers, but it'll also be difficult to get a big play to Beckham in weather like that. So it might come down to the run game, and neither team has a very strong run game if we take the season as a whole. So it'll depend a lot on that.
Yeah, and I mean, you know how Aaron Rodgers works. You think you have him bottled up. He ends up spinning out or something, extending the play for like 11 seconds, and then hitting a 90-yard bomb to someone that looks like he came off the sideline because he's so open. So
Yeah.
the fact that the Giants can play man-to-man press coverage is pretty clutch, because then, one, you can bring Landon Collins into the box. Two, you can send a 5-man blitz with an already great defensive line. And three, you can stop the run without having to even put 8 people in the box, because Damon Harrison just literally swallows offensive linemen. So, I mean, it's a good matchup. I think almost a good matchup for both teams, in that neither team really does anything that the other team can't stop. It's just like a good matchup between two, on paper, two evenly matched teams, in my opinion. And I think it's going to come down to the fact, can Eli make the throw? Like, whether it's one time that Odell gets open on a post, can Eli hit him for a big touchdown, which might be, because points might be hard to come by? Can Aaron Rodgers get away from a sack and make a big play? Like, who's going to make the big play, I think, is going to be the story of the game, because, like you said, cold weather and two decently matched teams.
Yeah, it's going to come down to execution in the end. I think whichever team executes better, and it's hard to bet against either of these quarterbacks in the playoffs in terms of execution. So it'll be interesting.
Fun fact: Eli is 7-1 in games where he's an underdog in the playoffs.
I was seeing this stat
or 7-0. Sorry, because the Giants haven't lost a game in 25 years as an underdog in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's that. But also, the fact that, the Giants haven't made the playoffs in 5 years, that shocked me. I was like, there's no way that could be true. So, and I was, looking back through the seasons, I was like, oh, it actually is true. That's why they fired Tom Coughlin, which I still think they should have.
The last 3 times the Giants made the playoffs, they won 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, so...
Which takes us all the way 10 years ago. That's the second Super Bowl, so...
I think this is going to be a great game. I think this could be the only good game of the weekend. This is a pretty poor slate of wild card games.
But that also sets up for a fantastic slate of next week.
Yeah. So do you want to bring Dallas and Atlanta into this for a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So optimistically for you, at least you can think that the 2 major threats to your Super Bowl run one of them's gonna knock the other out in the first round.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
So
and
that's
if the Lions win, then maybe we won't have to see them until later.
Right, maybe you won't have to see them at all.
Yeah.
So we'll start with Atlanta just to save you guys. So Atlanta just basically hangs their hat on the fact that they score flat out a lot more points than you can.
They have 100 more points than anybody else.
Right, it gets disgusting. They score 40 points before they even start really playing. Julio Jones probably has had, quote unquote, his worst year, even though it's been outstanding, considering the fact that Matt Ryan just has so much more to work with. Devontae Freeman's still very good. They found a little-known guy in Gabriel as a wide receiver who's been playing very well. He was hurt last week, but obviously with the week off, I bet you he'll be okay. Their defense has been kind of weird. They don't really have a good defense, but the fact that Dan Quinn is their head coach, who was the defensive coordinator for the Seahawks, makes me feel like if you give him I don't know, I wouldn't bet against them, I guess, is what it makes me feel like. So I think the Falcons are the team that nobody's really talking about, but actually has a really good chance. They actually,
I agree with you.
By Pro Football Focus, they're predicted to win the NFC. It's a 44% chance, and I think the next closest was Dallas at 30. And then Green Bay's at 10, Seattle's at 6, and the Giants are at 3. Those numbers are just so low because you can't predict who's going to win the Packers and Giants game, so one of them obviously has to have pretty low odds.
Right, one of those numbers will jump.
Exactly. But yeah, I think it's really a 4-team race in my opinion. It's between the winner of the Giants game this weekend, the Cowboys, and the Falcons. And the fact that you guys have home field advantage obviously helps you. However, I don't know how big home field is for you guys, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, we don't have like a huge home field. Like, I guess the way I'd put it is it's not a huge disadvantage to go to Dallas, but I feel like we're shakier on the road. So, like, I mean, we're 7-1 at home this year, and our only home loss is that Week 1 loss, which is our quarterback's first career start. So, we have been a really good home team this year. It's not like that atmosphere is something that's impossible to play in or anything. It's not like Seattle or Green Bay or anything like that. Like, it's warm weather, it's a dome, so there's none of that factor. But the fact that we don't have to play on the road, I think, is the way that I'd put that as favorable to us.
And we're
taking other teams out of their home environment. So, like, no one wants to go to Green Bay. Even Atlanta, people don't want to go to Atlanta.
Oh, no.
Assuming they're still pumping in crowd noise.
Right.
But, like, those teams don't get the benefit of their home environments when they have to play us. So, I don't know, that's where I'd say our advantage lies. But this Falcons team, I think you're right that, like, people aren't talking about them enough. They are first in points scored by a wide margin. They're 27th in points against. So it's just I mean, there's that old like adage, defense wins championships. That's not always true, and the Falcons are guaranteed to not have to play any cold weather games in the playoffs, which benefits them like a lot. Because the only place they'd have to go on the road is Dallas, which is not a cold weather game, and the Super Bowl would be in Houston. So there's not going to be any issue with that. So I think that they are going to be in, like, I don't know, they want to make every game a shootout because you can't win a shootout with this team. I think that the most likely scenario is that they play Seattle in the next round, which should be a really interesting game. They lost by only 2 points at Seattle earlier in the season, and that game had a controversial ending. Like, Richard Sherman, I think, pretty clearly should have been called for pass interference in that last play. And that was a road game in Seattle, so they clearly can play Seattle pretty well. They'd get them at home this time. And if they can dictate the style, Seattle's not beating them in the shootout. So it'll just be up to whichever team dictates that game, if it happens, is going to win it. And I don't know, I like Atlanta to do that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking at like the games they played and stuff, just because I want to see how they are against like an elite kind of defense.
They beat the Broncos on the road.
Yeah, and
like talk about elite defenses.
Exactly, and the least amount of points scored for them all year was in that game, which was 23. So like,
oh my god,
that's not like that's a lot of points. That's like more than the Giants average by almost a touchdown, I feel like. So, I mean, they put up 48 on the Panthers, who people always thought was a great defense. Obviously not as good this year, but still. They put up 23 on the Broncos. They put up 24 on the Seahawks and lost by 2. They lost
43 on the Bucks.
Right. Lost to the Chargers by 3 in overtime. That one's kind of weird to me because the Chargers don't have a good defense, but obviously scoring 33. Then they beat the Packers by 1. They lost to the Eagles by 9. Oh, sorry. They only scored 15 against the Eagles, so that's their lowest total.
Yeah, that's it.
Which is weird. And then
that Chiefs loss is just, that was like the return 2-point conversion game.
Right,
so.
But giving up 29 to the Chiefs is pretty bad. So
they're not a good defense.
It looks like if you can get to 30 and then just hang your hat on your defense, you got a pretty good chance to beat them. Because like the good defenses they've played, they haven't really broken the 30-point barrier. So they're going to score. You have to know they're going to score, and you have to score with them. But then you also have to hope that your defense can just hang on, make 3, 4, 5 stops, And as the Giants have been saying this whole season, offense wins games, but defense wins championships. And I think that's very true in the playoffs. Like, your offense might get you to the playoffs, but I don't know that your offense can get you to the Super Bowl and to hold the Lombardi up without a good defense, because at some point that defense has to come in.
Well, yeah, somebody's going to hire Kyle Shanahan as a head coach this offseason, too.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, absolutely. So, you want to talk about Dallas?
Yeah, so I guess that just leaves the Cowboys. They finished 13-3, which is beyond my wildest dreams. Their only losses came to the Giants twice and the Eagles in a game that they didn't really try to win. We finished 5th both in points for and points against, which is pretty good. I mean, I expected our offense to be good because the offensive line is good. We don't need to spend a lot of time talking about the offensive line. Everybody always talks about it. Like what I've been talking about for the last 3 years, Zach's very familiar with it. But the most impressive part of the season to me has been that we're 5th ranked in defense. I didn't expect the defense to be anywhere near this good. I thought that we could probably finish around like 9-7 just on the strength of our offense, but the defense has really stepped up. Who they wisely kept out of the Week 17 game because he's, to put it mildly, injury prone, but he looks like the old Sean Lee right now. He's flying across the field making tackles.
He was tied.
In that Giants game, he had like 20 tackles in that game.
Yeah, he's tied for 3rd, I want to say, in the NFL for most tackles. Bobby Wagner was 1st. And then the Orr kid from Baltimore was 2nd.
Yeah.
And then I think it was Sean Lee, and I can't think of that person, but they were tied for 3rd.
Yeah, so he looks like himself again. They've gotten a lot of this guy David Irving, who they got off the practice squad. They just always seem to get stuff out of these unknown guys on the defensive line. Like you always go into the year with the Cowboys, and they don't rush the passer super well, but they do what they have to do. They're very good at stopping the run, which isn't something you need as badly when you're facing the Giants or the Packers, which is what worries me a little bit. But yeah, there isn't really a team in the playoffs in the NFC that really relies heavily on their running game besides Dallas. I mean, it's just kind of like a crop of relatively weak running backs if you're just talking about these playoff teams in the NFC. But I think the Cowboys are going to be able to take away anything resembling a rushing attack, so it's going to fall to the pass defense, and it's going to be interesting to see. I'm still a little wary about our defense. I think that it might have overachieved a little bit, but it's not like we played an easy schedule. Like, we played some good offenses, and we held them pretty well. I mean, we didn't give up a lot of points to the Giants, even though we lost both of those games. We only gave up 16 to Green Bay. We rolled over the Lions. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I'm still very cautious in my optimism about this Cowboys team because I didn't expect them to be this good, but they're definitely for real. I just don't know if they're best team in the NFC for real or just solid playoff team for real.
Yeah, I mean, I think you definitely overachieved. I don't think it's wrong that you won the division. I think you're very clearly a good team and a solid playoff team for sure. 13-3 is really high in my opinion because you were 10-0 outside the division, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a lot. That's impressive, especially because everyone's going to say our division's weak, like they always do. So, I mean,
yeah. To anybody who says that our 4th place team was 7-9. So,
and they weren't bad. Like we just showed, they
wasn't bad.
They beat Atlanta.
That Eagles team was 6-2 at home.
They're not bad. They're not bad at all. Trust me, I know we got whooped. But yeah. So I mean, you're definitely deserving of the playoffs. I think the NFC. I honestly think you could put. I think you could put the 5 teams, take out the Lions, and put the other 5 teams in a hat, and pick a name out, and still feel good about your chances of making it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, there's there's 5 legitimately really good teams in this conference. It's by far the better conference right now.
Which
I mean, I was just looking up and down this conference, and like there were like I don't know, all these playoff teams are good, but like Minnesota, Carolina, and Arizona are all very talented teams that underachieved for whatever reason this year, and like there's no reason they can't be back being good next year. So like, I don't know, I'm just looking at the NFC. There's only 3 teams that I'm confident will be bad next year, and that's Chicago, the Rams, and the Niners. Anybody else, it would not surprise me if they won their division.
exactly, yeah.
So that's how strong this conference is. Hold on, I have one thing for you to guess.
All right.
So in the NFC, in point differential, the number 1 team is Atlanta, the number 2 team was Dallas, and it's a pretty big gap. Number 3 team was Seattle. Guess who was number 4?
Wow, Seattle is 3.
Yeah.
4.
But it was a pretty big gap after Atlanta and Dallas.
I have a feeling this team isn't in the playoffs.
You're right.
All right. The Saints.
Nope.
Am I in the right conference?
You're right. Well, no, I'm saying in the NFC.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Tampa?
Nope.
I don't know.
The answer is Arizona. Arizona was
No
plus
way.
56.
No way.
They scored almost as many points as the Cowboys did.
Yeah, but there were some games I thought they flat out got blown out of the water.
Yeah, they did. But like that was surprising me too. I was looking up and down the numbers, and like it was just kind of a weird season for Arizona. I mean, I don't know what I think about them for next year, but I mean, David Johnson's obviously for real. I guess we'll just.
He only has a sprained knee also, so.
Yeah, that's good. That injury looked a lot worse when it happened.
Right.
But yeah, so they were 7-8-1. It wouldn't surprise me if they were back in the playoffs next year. I had them. I had my top 2 seeds in the playoffs this year being Carolina and Arizona, so I didn't really have a great.
I had the same, so I can't say.
Yeah.
Can't say differently.
Yeah. So there's just so much talent in this conference. It should be really interesting side of the bracket in the playoffs. I think Fox will be happy about it because they get all the NFC games while CBS has to broadcast like some mediocre AFC games.
Yeah, and ESPN has the Raiders game, and I saw something saying like this is the NFL's way of trying to get the ESPN out of their business.
Yeah, really.
So that's the NFL. We're going to talk just briefly about college football playoff now. So we have Alabama, which won pretty easily against Washington. They didn't have their best game by any stretch. Actually, probably their worst offensive game. Worst game Lane Kiffin's called ever. And they still didn't have any trouble. And then Clemson blew Ohio State out of the water. 31-0, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just a great performance defensively, which I don't think a lot of people saw coming, but then also just a better offense than a lot of people thought. Deshaun Watson, I've said all year long, is absolutely legit. I still think he's the best player in college football. And I know he lost Alabama last year, but Clemson's offense did absolutely everything they needed to do to win that football game. Deshaun Watson played out of his mind for more yards than Alabama's had to deal with in a long time. And Clemson's been waiting for this rematch all season long, since the second that game ended last year. They've wanted this rematch. I do think in a way Alabama wants it too, just because Clemson's offense played so well and Deshaun Watson played so well, and this is like the biggest test for Alabama's defense. Alabama's opening as a touchdown favorite. I don't like that really at all. I think it's going to be a really close game. I think it's going to come down to the last possession kind of game. And I've been trying so hard to talk myself into Clemson since the college football playoff started, because Jonah knows how much I love Deshaun Watson. Like, I want the Giants to draft him so bad just to sit behind Eli. But it's going to be a very good game. People are going to want to watch this game. And there's a lot to like with the matchups and everything. A lot of NFL talent. Like, we're going to be seeing like probably 75% of the players on this field in the NFL games on Sunday at some point. So it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I mean, I think I know you're right that last year Clemson Clemson really did everything they could to win that game. I don't know, they almost did, and you have the revenge factor, obviously. I think that this year's Alabama team is better than last year's Alabama team.
I think it's far better. Honestly, before the injuries happened, I think it was far better. Now the secondary with like Jackson down, some other guys banged up, it's a little scarier. But this defense, fully healthy, is a lot better than last year's defense.
Right, like I don't think they're giving up 40 points to Clemson again,
right,
like they did last year.
Right.
Even if Watson does play the game of his life again, I just think this defense is a lot better than it was. I think Jalen Hurts, I've said this before, I think he's the best Alabama quarterback that there's been in a long time. He really didn't do anything at all in the Washington game, which concerns some people.
I don't know how much of that was his fault, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think it was. I don't know. I don't really blame him for it or anything. And like, they just went in a different direction with the game plan. I mean, Bo Scarborough had 19 carries for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. They just decided to.
He should probably get 40 a game the way that kid runs. Holy God.
Yeah, so they just had to basically do that instead. And I would be surprised if Alabama lost this game. I just think they're by far the best team in college football this year. But I mean, anything can happen.
I mean, against Washington, they had an offensive coordinator that was completely checked out, focused on everything else but the game.
Right, and they still only gave up 7 points. Like, let's not forget that.
They had a true freshman quarterback. First time in Alabama's long history, in like the recent past that's happened. And then also we're playing a top 5 defense with a lot of NFL players on the defense. Great secondary, fantastic defensive line. Good linebackers. Like there's no weakness in that defense, and they still handled their business. Defense played great. Of course, their defense scored another touchdown, like they do every week. But I'm gonna go with Clemson. I'm gonna do it.
You're going with Clemson?
I'm gonna do it. I'm riding with Deshaun Watson until the day he gets drafted by a team I hate, and then everything I ever said about him I take back.
Yeah, I admire that. Honestly, I admire the confidence there. I'm still gonna go with Alabama. I don't think that anyone's beating them this season. I just hope this doesn't become a thing where just like they win the national title every single season. So like, I really like for Clemson to win, but I just don't see it. I think this defense is too good.
Would you take Clemson with the points if it's 7?
If it's 7. I'm seeing it here at 6.5.
Or that, whichever one you want.
I'd rather take it at 7 than 6.5.
So it would be close.
Yeah.
You think it's gonna be like a touchdown kind of game?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd probably take Clemson even at 6.5, but I wouldn't be confident about it.
I'm gonna say 31-28 Clemson. They're gonna win on a late. It's gonna be 28-24, and Watson's gonna take them down the field and score with like a couple seconds left.
I hope it's as exciting as that.
I mean, this is Alabama's best test, I think, by far and away, with how good Clemson's offense is, and Clemson's defense just showed they're pretty legit too. And then Alabama is Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, Bo Scarborough is literally, if you made a tree run 25 miles an hour at you and try to tackle it, like that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I don't know how it's possible to stop this guy. 6'2", 228.
Speaking of teams finding running backs like the Patriots, Alabama has one every game. It's a different one.
Yeah, it's just right. There's similar to the Patriots, except college football structures that they win even more often than the Patriots do.
Right. But I do think it'll be a good game. I think college football was pretty exciting. How about the Rose Bowl? That was probably the best game I've watched maybe ever, but definitely in a really long time. Watch out for those two teams next year. Sam Darnold, I personally am on the record as saying Sam Darnold could be Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, he has very far to go, but the way he plays, how athletic he is, there's a lot there. Both California boys. Watch out for that. Trace McSorley, Saquon Barkley.
Returning pretty much everybody.
Yeah, I mean, USC is probably going to lose Adoree Jackson, and they're losing Juju Smith-Schuster, which those are two of their best players. But that Penn State team, like literally, they only had, I think, Kirk Herbstreit. I think he said they only had 15 seniors and only like 4 of them played legitimate snaps. So they're really not.
Of the scholarship sanctions, they're wearing off now.
So they're not really replacing anything. And Saquon Barkley and Trace McSorley are both back. So that's huge.
Right.
I mean, yeah, I think Penn State's going to start the year in the top 4 for sure.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why not. I mean, they're ending the season way up there, and they're losing probably fewer people than any other of the best teams besides maybe Alabama.
The Big Ten, yeah, but Alabama doesn't care. They're just going to replace everybody again.
Yeah, they just reload.
So the Big Ten is looking really good again next year. Michigan's losing a lot, but I still think with Harbaugh there, it's not that big of a deal. He's like the Saban factor. Like, even if the talent isn't that great, you get the most out of it. So
yeah,
it works.
Ohio State should still be good. Barrett's coming back.
They did lose a lot in their defense. All their young guys declared, but they will be good again, I think, too. In Penn State. So, I mean, those 3 teams are going to be back. I doubt Michigan State's bad again.
No, they won't be that bad again.
So, I think the Big Ten will be fun again. ACC.
They're all in the same freaking division. That's the problem.
Yeah, guess who's in it with you? Frickin' Maryland. So tell me about it. At least your team's good.
At least we all get to beat up on Rutgers.
Yeah, that's true. We got to do that too. That was kind of fun. But my early prediction is that next year Florida State's going to be the best team in the country.
Florida State, interesting.
DeAndre Francois is easily becoming my favorite player behind Deshaun Watson now. So I'll just trade teams and ACC quarterbacks and we'll be great.
Yeah, Francois was really impressive. I mean, I was watching that game, which was also a ridiculous game, by the way.
Yes, that was fantastic.
The thing with Francois, like, he definitely showed himself in that game because he was 9 for 27 in that game. Like, he wasn't really having a good game.
No, he was terrible. He was getting his butt kicked the whole game.
Right, but then still made the throws they needed to make at the end.
I mean, a true freshman quarterback taking him all the way down the field and scoring a game-winning touchdown against probably what most people would consider the second-best defense in college football behind Alabama.
Yeah.
Like, really? What more do you want? I don't care how bad anything before that was. That's all you care about in the end.
Yeah.
So, college football winding down. That's Monday night, right?
Yeah, Monday night.
And then we have NFL Saturday and Sunday. Probably don't care till Sunday. Saturday games are Houston and Oakland and the Lions and Seahawks.
And then I'll be watching, but
yeah, you'll have like one eye open for that Saturday night game just to see what could happen there. But
in case the Lions pull it off.
Yes, but next week there'll be a lot more intriguing matchups to talk about. And we'll probably throw in the NBA or something. But here's my one last prediction, Jonah. I think the Washington Capitals will stop the Columbus Blue Jackets run tonight.
Ooh, that's an interesting little side prediction there.
16 games in a row is far too many. It's in D.C. It's over. That's what my prediction is. Even though the Capitals have been horrendously bad the last month.
Well, the record, like the NHL record for consecutive wins is 17.
Which would be... They would tie it tonight, right?
They would tie it tonight,
and then have to beat the Rangers on Saturday or something, I saw.
Yeah, beating the Rangers would break the record.
Which would be fantastic for Tortorella to go back to New York, beat the Rangers, you know.
And set an NHL record.
Right.
Yeah, I think he'd enjoy that a little bit.
So, like, if the Capitals don't beat the Blue Jackets tonight, then please break the record. But I would like the Capitals to be a little bit of a part of history.
It's a little bit... the record's a little bit cheap because the record was set by the Penguins in '93, and back then there wasn't overtime, so it's like easier to win games now because it still counts as a win if you win in overtime.
Right.
But you couldn't win in overtime back then, so it's a little cheaper, but still obviously.
This is just flat out wins, right? Like you have to flat out win the game.
Yeah.
Because I remember a couple of years ago the Blackhawks had like the most consecutive games without a loss or something, right? Or pretty close. It was like 29 in a row or whatever to start the year.
Like games with a point. Like without losing in regulation, right?
Yeah, that's kind of weird, but whatever. So yes, I say the Capitals win. What do you think?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I don't think the Blue Jackets are this good.
Yeah, I mean, what the heck? Hockey's weird this year. We'll have to get to that at some point, but there's
Hockey's really weird this
lot
year.
of teams that are going off. Our teams are getting left in the dust, to be honest.
Yeah, my team's been in the dust for like over a month now. I don't know if we're still. Yeah, we're last in the Eastern Conference again.
Oh God.
The Devils have been winning games.
So since the Capitals beat you in the playoffs, it's just all gone downhill.
Yeah, pretty well. No, it was since Tampa beat us, really, because we got to the second round last year.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But it's been downhill since then for sure. Now it's very possible Tavares won't re-sign, and I'll just want to die. So.
Dallas is 13-3, and that's all that needs to be said.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I'm thinking about.
So best of luck to your teams, unless that is Green Bay. I hope everybody else wins. And we will see you back here next week. Thanks for listening.